Okay, so let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something that, well, it sounds a little backwards at first. The idea that having the courage to be incompetent could actually be the key to unlocking your true potential. I know, it sounds weird, but trust me on this.
You know that feeling, right? That little knot in your stomach when you think about trying something new. Maybe it's picking up a guitar or learning a language or even just speaking up with a new idea at work. Something just holds you back. And what is it really? It's that fear, that paralyzing fear of looking foolish, of just not knowing what you're doing.
And that feeling, that fear, it leads us straight into what you could call the perfection trap. It's this weird unspoken pressure in our culture that says we have to be good at things, like right away, from the get-go.
I mean, just think about it. Everything from our social media feeds to what's expected at work, it's all about presenting this perfect, polished final product. There's almost no room for the messy, awkward, clumsy part of actually learning something. It just crushes our willingness to even give it a shot.
You know, there's actually a great Yiddish word that sums this up, a schlemiel. That's the person we're all terrified of looking like, the clumsy, kind of pitiful one. And that fear of being seen as the schlemiel, it's so strong that sometimes we'd rather do nothing at all than risk looking foolish. And that right there is the very heart of the perfection trap. So what's the alternative? Is there another way to think about this? Well, yeah, there is. It's an older, maybe wiser perspective that doesn't just tolerate the beginner, it actually celebrates them. We're going to look at an idea from ancient Norse wisdom, which was a culture that was all about bold action, not, timid perfection. So let's put these two ideas side by side. On one hand, you have the modern goal, flawless outcomes, avoid looking stupid no matter what. But on the other hand, you have this Norse wisdom, which is literally the exact opposite. It says, no, embrace being flawed and clumsy. Act like a beginner, even like a little kid. See, the goal shifts. It's not about being perfect anymore. It's about being free. Just picture a little kid learning to ride a bike. They fall, right? They wobble, they crash, they get scrapes. But are they embarrassed? No. They just get back up and try again. They're totally focused on the attempt, not on how they look doing it. That's the mindset. That's what we're trying to get back to.
Okay, so this all sounds great, but how do we actually do it? Turns out there's a pretty simple but powerful formula to break out of that perfection trap and get to that freedom we're talking about.
And this is it. This is really the core of the whole thing. Our ability to be creative, to solve problems, to be resourceful, it just explodes when the price of failure is minimized. When we aren't terrified of what happens if we mess up. When the stakes feel low, our minds have room to breathe, to play. Because here's what's happening in our brains. That fear of failure, it literally shuts us down. It gives us tunnel vision, puts us in this anxious state. But when we lower that price of failure, whether that price is just being embarrassed in front of friends or a project not working out perfectly, we give ourselves the mental space, the permission to actually be innovative.
All right, so this brings us to a really practical tool, a mental shift that comes from that same well of wisdom. It's something called the seer's permission. And the idea is pretty cool. You can see what's possible in the future by giving yourself permission to act in the present.
And what is that permission? It's this simple. Give yourself permission to be bad. That's it. You have to actually say it to yourself consciously. I have permission to be bad at this. Permission to be a beginner. Permission to be that schlemiel. And you have to understand, this isn't a weakness, it's a strategy. It's how you free yourself from that crushing weight of perfection.
So when you do this, when you give yourself that permission, you're not really just being bad. What you're actually doing is engaging in what you could call high-level creative play. You're changing the rules of the game. The goal isn't a perfect outcome anymore. The goal is just exploration. The learning process is the win, not some flawless final product.
Okay, so let's bring this all home. Why does this matter? How does this idea of imperfect action actually help you in your real, everyday life?
Well, it unlocks a ton of stuff. For starters, you get freedom from that constant anxiety of trying to be perfect. Your natural resourcefulness starts to come out. You actually get to feel the joy of learning again, just for the sake of it, which is true creative play. And maybe the biggest thing of all, you finally get the courage to just start.
Now, let me be really clear about something. This isn't about aiming for failure. It's not about trying to do a bad job. Not at all. It is about removing the fear of failure, taking it away so it's no longer a wall that stops you from even starting. It's all about lowering the stakes so you feel free enough to take that first crucial step.
So I want to leave you with this one question. Just think about it for a second. If you really, honestly gave yourself permission to be a little clumsy,
to be a total beginner, to just be bad at it for a little while, what amazing thing would you finally let yourself try?